Porsche and Corvettes are vehicles that might cost you less to own than a Dodge Hornet. That's a vehicle that should depreciate quite a bit. Or, you know what? It will probably cost you less to own these vehicles than a Ram 1500. Or in the comment section, please throw in some vehicles that you know that depreciate a lot, that aren't, let's say, the easy ones like Maserati, Jaguar, Mercedes. Corvette and a Porsche 911 will cost you less than a Mercedes. 911 will cost you about $18,000 to own for 5 years, or the convertible, roughly $40,000 to own for 5 years. And a lot of 20-year-old Porsches still sell for their original selling price. Now, Corvettes are great for not depreciating too much. And actually, the last few years, the big, huge crash is because for the last few years, 1, 2, and 3-year-old Corvettes were selling for $20,000 to $50,000 over MSRP as used vehicles. GM dealers are not allowed to sell Corvettes above MSRP according to GM rules. They risk getting into a lot of trouble if they do. So guess what? If you got a Corvette at MSRP because you're in a buddy-buddy situation with a dealer, a lot of dealers would sell vehicles to their buddies or contacts with the kind of like a unofficial contract of, you'll sell that back to us in 6 months, 12 months, or a year and a half, 2 years, but you got to sell it back to us. So they'd sell it, they'd buy back. I tried to get one. I couldn't get one because I wasn't buddy-buddy. They were maybe afraid I'd hold on to one. They wouldn't even take my order. Now I found a dealer that would take my Corvette order, and here's why I would very much consider and almost bought a Corvette this week. Corvettes have crashed. That's the bad news and the good news. New Corvettes in my area are about 6 months to get one, and I can get one at MSRP, but the used ones, 2-year-old used Corvettes, are now selling at new MSRP price. So they're still above their original MSRP from 2 years ago. They're probably going to go back soon to a more reasonable amount. They'll probably go back to selling at the dealer for MSRP once a Corvette's 2 years old, from MSRP to minus $10,000, max $15,000 under MSRP. But for 2 years of driving, that's not a whole lot of money. If it costs you 10 grand between the price you buy and the price you sell at, if it costs you 10 grand for 2 years, how much really is that per month? That's going to be less than $500 per month, right? Less than $500 per month to drive a Corvette. Now, of course, if you got a Z06 Corvette at MSRP, well, then you're really going to laugh because you'll probably sell it over MSRP. But even Z06 Corvettes, I'm seeing 2019 Z06 Corvettes selling. So here's a 2019 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. It was $82,000 US. Now here's the price crash proof. I found one in Canadian, a 2019 for 100 grand. So it's now selling as a 4-year-old vehicle, essentially at a little, and actually it had a bit of equipment on, so it's a little slightly under MSRP. So not expensive to run at all, less than $500 per month to run, probably works out to about $200 a month to run. And hey, Ford Bronco is a great vehicle to own as well, because my first Ford Bronco I sold for more than the MSRP, and my second one cost me $2,000 to run for 14 months. It cost me like what, $120 a month? Between my buy price and sell price, there was $2,000 for 14 months. So whatever, $120, $130 a month. You can't get an old winter beater and run it for that kind of, unless you're very, very lucky to run it for that kind of cost of ownership. Now, the Corvettes have gone down in price. We're starting to see, this is in Canadian. So you have a 2024 Chevrolet Corvette 3LT for $125,000. The 3LT, I think, is great for some people. If you've got extra money hanging around, I don't feel like it's necessary. I don't feel like, if you've got a lot of money, great, good, jump on it. But it's not the model I would get. It's $125,000. Here we have a luxury tax. Every vehicle over $100,000, you pay 20% tax on the amount over $100,000, and then once they total that up, they still charge you the 15%. Anyways, it works out to, it's wild. You can have a $110,000 vehicle and they charge you the 15% tax on the whole amount, but then they also on that last 10 grand charge you $2,000 in taxes. What a ripoff. Thank you very much, government. The government's increase taxes, invent reasons, invent crises in order to tax you more, but they also invent crises in order to remove your freedoms. And, electric vehicles being forced on us. It's a freedom being removed. Some people agree with it, some people don't. Let me know in the comments, but it can be a bit of a nuisance. So there's now a few 2024 3LTs for sale. Brand new. Now, 2023 3LT right here, Z51 package. That is a package I would definitely get. Beautiful, beautiful vehicle. I think Marie finds this more interesting than the Porsche because when we were in Florida, she thought this was a Ferrari. Now, the cost of ownership, people are loving this model. Now, the older model Porsche, old model Corvette depreciates more than a Porsche 911. But this model of Corvette isn't going to keep, the values have crashed. They're not going to continue selling for, 10, 20, 30, $50,000 over MSRP when they're 1, 2, or 3 years old. That's going to be a thing of the past. All vehicles are crashing. So those articles saying, oh my goodness, this is a big deal. Corvettes are crashing in price. So, you probably shouldn't get one. That's silly. These vehicles are great vehicles to buy. You're going to have a ton of fun driving them. I do suggest if you want more of a comfort ride, do get the system that would have the adaptive suspension, so you can have both a sporty and a comfort ride suspension based on your driving situations. But we are going to start seeing more and more Corvettes at MSRP. Once we start seeing them on the lots, if we do start seeing them on the lots and there's no order times, then yes, the new one, you'll probably see trade-in value if you buy at, 100,000 Canadian or, 90,000 US dollars. If you buy new and there's some on the lot when you go to trade it in that are available, they're going to have to sell them for about 15. If it's 1 year old, they're going to have to sell them for about $15,000 less than the ones on the lot because of interest difference. New cars will have less interest than the used vehicles. And as such, the 1 year of ownership might cost you $20,000. Might. And that all depends if inventories remain, if it's still an order situation. Now, the Porsche 911 still has about 1.5 years order wait time on it. So their high prices aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And traditionally, they've always held their value quite a bit. And we're actually starting to see, what is this? This is a Porsche 911 Cabriolet. And it's basically, and I built it. I can't know the exact equipment on this, but 179,000 Canadian, that's basically MSRP and available. So even the Porsche 911 is probably in a situation where 5 years of ownership will cost you about $18,000, which is what, like $500 a month? It's like owning a Toyota Corolla or a RAV4. It's, I think of one vehicle that depreciated a lot. You think back with those Chrysler 300s, for example. That is a vehicle that if you traded after 2 years, you're at a huge loss, a huge cost. You're way better off buying a Porsche 911. Now, the Corvette I would buy, the WB, the Corvette I would buy would be a 1LT, either a 2LT or a 1LT. But the 1LT, because of the Canadian luxury tax for going over 100 grand, I would probably take a 1LT that starts at 94,000 Canadian and throw the Z51 package on it and choose the more aggressive race style seats. Those would be my main options and potentially my only options. Now, I believe, if I recall correctly from the build and price, there is an option for, the race seats force the seats to be black, and that's where I'm not sure, because I like the idea of having the standard seats in black and red. If I could have the race seats in red or black and red as well, I'd probably definitely go with those racing seats. But the Z51 package is a must-have package, I think for resale value and just overall fun. Now, of course, that means the vehicle won't come with 4 seasons, but 4 seasons are illegal here in any way. So if I did have it as the occasional vehicle, if Maddie has a doctor's appointment and has to take the Bronco out, I would maybe even get winter tires for this and have those serious summer only Z51 tires, the exhaust sound, everything that's amazing with that Z51 package. Maybe definitely the Z51, maybe the race package, but the WB, please let me know what things you would add to it. Which would you go 1LT, 2LT, or 3LT, and what would you add to it? Are you changing the mags? My color would probably be, I'm stuck between the darker blue and the lighter red. Those are the colors I'm thinking for the Corvette. So please let me know the WB, but this machine is incredible. Like, look at this. Engine in the back, visible. And remember, all Corvettes are Targa, but automatic. You have a button and your roof goes and tucks in the back, and now you've got a nice open area. So I wouldn't pay more for a Corvette because the Targa is amazing and it's no extra charge. And these seats, oh boy, I'm really getting into this. I love this. These seats look amazing. So red or blue exterior with those seats. Blue exterior with red seats. Throw some white stripes on it. You've got the U.S. loving Corvette, the Corvette American flag edition. That would be very tempted. Now, these colors aren't coming out as well on the screen, and I'm sorry about that. But it's not this bright orange like you're seeing on the screen. It's a medium red. Yeah, the R-Raptor, you don't have a desire to own one, but you're looking at them. Now, looking to purchase, is it because you're thinking about resale? Because I think the days of buying at MSRP and then selling well over MSRP, I think those days are pretty much done. The WB, thank you very much. I'll be looking forward to your comment. You can even send it to me privately on Instagram at Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. We also have Facebook. You can join us on everyone. You're welcome to follow me on Facebook at Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. Now, a bit of a sad story to end all this Corvette talk. I hope the Corvette never disappears. I know there's the electric Corvette that's come out, the EV. Will that mean that the Corvette gasoline-powered engine disappears? Yes, if they sold a lot of them. The Challenger and Charger are gone. Now, the Challenger ends December 22nd. That was the last day of production. Why did it have to end? Because of carbon taxes, because companies that have a low mile per gallon range, manufacturers need to slowly get their fleet average to 50 miles per gallon, and there's punishment fines along the way in the years to come. Dodge was paying billions of dollars in fines per year because people really love this vehicle. There's a lot of sales for the Challenger going down, and it takes a lot of gas. So it was ruining their fleet average. So they've had to drop it. It'll come back as an EV. Now the Corvette, that's low sales volume, so it should survive. But it makes you think, what's Ford going to do? What's GM and what are Ram going to do with those trucks that are nowhere near 50 miles per gallon? R-Raptor, thank you. What are they going to do? Well, they need to sell. They can't sell 500,000 F-150s and make that mile per gallon range. So what do? They either sell them for more, so they have the money to pay off. They don't pay off the fines of the government. They go buy tax credits, carbon credits from Tesla. And what does that mean? Tesla becomes much more competitive, and you just paid your competitor to dig a grave for you. You're like, hey, please go dig that grave I'm going to jump into in 10 years from now because the Democrats are ruining this company. So what do? They try to survive, and they get rid of really cool stuff like this. Yeah, man.